I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. Here we are. We just got through the early June full moon over the weekend, which had a negative impact on some stuff and a positive impact on other things. Had pretty good weather all week. Looks slightly breezy this weekend, but not too bad. I don't think sport boats can be a problem. It might be a little chunky out there if you're in a skip looking to go really far to try and catch tuna. But yeah, check the weather. You should be fine. It's not really blowing a ton. It's just going to be slightly windy all weekend, it looks like. But I got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's head out to the map. All right, as usual, I'm going to start out up north. Channel Islands really had some pretty incredible fishing in the last week. Probably due to that full moon. That's always had a positive impact on the Seabass and yellows and even halibut and all that bite up there. I know the boats up there have just been, certain days just roping them, other days just getting halibut and stuff. The Aloha Spirit has been pretty consistently on the fish up there, as has the CJ and the Gray Light charter boat, which is, to be honest with you, if I was going up there and going to go on a sport boat, I'd be inclined to spend the extra money to charter that boat. It's a much better opportunity to catch fish. There's a lot less people and a little bit stealthier boat. But regardless, a lot of the boats are getting fish. But they're getting, they got really nice yellowtail up there. Lots of sea bass, just more of those big halibut than it's just crazy how many halibut are being caught these days. I don't think I've ever seen this many halibut biting in this many different areas for so long, which is odd, but who knows. But yeah, they've had great fishing up there for a couple weeks now, and it's peaked around the full moon. Should peak again on the new moon. I know there's some fish in areas where they haven't been able to get up to a lot, like the up at Rose and Miguel, because it's been rough for the overnight boats to get out there. But if we get some decent weather, those boats can get on those fish up there on the squid beds. It's not that run and gun stuff like they're doing at Santa Cruz and Anacapa. But yeah, good opportunity up there. Fishing's good consistently, but if you want to get your best shot, I'd go around a new or a full moon up there. I'm going to skip the dirt claw to Nick. I don't really think there's been a ton of coverage there recently that I'm aware of. So I'm going to head down to Clemente. Yellowtail are biting there again. I know the Thunderbird had pretty good fishing today, which is Thursday. I saw on their Facebook they had some yellows like surface ironfish, plowline fish, stuff like that, which is great. I know the Apollo did I think it was a 2-day trip over the weekend or late last week, and they had everything. They had yellows, sea bass, halibut, and then they even ran off at night, caught bluefin, which is a pretty fun 2-day trip if you ask me. But yeah, that's they got decent weather out there this weekend. Shouldn't be a problem for sport boats. Like I said, private boats. It looks like it's going to be blowing like 5 to 10 knots in the morning. It doesn't get much windier during the day, but it doesn't really back off at night. So from Friday night through Sunday, it's just kind of breezy the whole time, which, well, it won't necessarily make it really rough or dangerous. It's just going to be kind of unpleasant. I may brave that and head out there anyway, but we'll see. I'll talk more about that when we get to the offshore section. Heading into Catalina, they've had some really good fishing there. Sport boats are getting yellows. They're getting sea bass. I know the Gale Force had limits the other day. I got a little video here playing where they actually had to start letting them go with the last few once they had limits on the boat, which is a pretty good problem to have. Looks like a nice grade of fish overall. And there's yellows and halibut and all that stuff biting for the sport boats. Hit and miss depending on the bait situation. I know bait's a big key. If you got squid, it makes a big difference. Some days they got sardines that look like Dodger dogs, and other days they have, just junky bait that's not really desirable to for those game fish. They're pretty bait specific, but bait's not a problem for private boaters. I know the Pacific Carnage has been over at Catalina for a few weeks now, selling live bait to the squid in front of Avalon, and private boaters have been putting it to use. My friend Rob Webster was out the other day. He was getting in the middle of the night, which I hate fishing at that time, but some of the guys are getting during the day. I know one of Matt's coworkers was out there and got a nice sea bass. Yeah, it's just good classic spring fishing for sea bass over there. And you get a shot at yellows and halibut as well. Haven't heard much on the bass guys. Actually, I talked to Benny Florentino, and he had some calicos there on Tuesday on the east end, fishing crankbaits up shallow. So that's definitely an option if you catch your limit of sea bass, or you just want to go over and fish bass. Heading into the coast, I fished a couple times this week. I actually was supposed to fish today, but the wind kind of scared me off the water this afternoon. It's a little breezy, but it's been nice in the afternoons, which has been great. With all this weird weather, it's been pretty tolerable, you know, in the afternoon without all that west wind. But I fished Saturday with Chris Oakes and Scott Smith. We tried to fish Newport Pipe. Knew it'd probably be an early bite because of the full moon on Sunday, so we got down there, I don't know, 7. Could not find a fish anywhere on the pipe. I think we caught 1 or 2. Just tons and tons of bait there everywhere. Normally I'll drive along the pipe and look for, you know, bait balls and fish, but all I just saw was like a shrub of bait along the entire pipe there, which is never a good sign. So we went in shallow there in Newport and, you know, fishing 10 to 20 feet of water. Little hard bottoms and stuff. They're pretty good. We probably had, I don't know, 30 fish. Nothing too big, maybe 2 or 3 pounds, but a lot of fun on light tackle. Chris has even thrown a little zoom fluke on a spinning rod and having a blast with that. But went up to PV on Tuesday, and it wasn't really wide open. It was better last week than I went. I went a few times last week. I don't really remember if I reported on that or not, but we found some nicer fish biting in certain areas. We went above Rocky for the first time in a few weeks, and the kelp's really grown in there a lot. And the bass are spreading out into it, but it went from no kelp at all to a ton of kelp suddenly, so those fish are kind of hard to find. I got a little video here. Kind of Matt and I were driving around looking, and a lot of the kelp's not all the way to the surface, so it's kind of hard to see where the leading edges are. But here's a little video of him catching a pretty nice fish on a little 6-inch MC slug. It's amazing how much it's thrown in.
A lot. Quite a bit of kelp. I mean, it's way more than a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah. I still don't think we're on the outside edge of it yet. Oh, there's one.
3 bites.
Nice.
3 bites. That's a tugger right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You got the big one as the follower.
I think so. Yeah, he's Dickie Moe right here. Look at this one. Look at the color spot on that one, Eric.
Right in there.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. That is fantastic. He's quite a puller. Yeah, the follower was the bigger one. Here we go. Oh boy.
Anyway, my friend Bobby Martinez fished up in Santa Monica Bay yesterday, I think, or Tuesday, I don't remember which, and had pretty good fishing. He got some nice calicos on the crankbait. He got some nice sand bass on swim baits, stuff like that. It looked like really good fishing up there. Lots of fish, lots of big ones, so that's a good sign. Hopefully that area continues to come to life here. There's no shortage of bait, no shortage of fish. It's just been kind of hard to catch lately. I know for a fact when I was at PV on Tuesday, current was an issue. And that happens a lot around the full moon. You get weird current directions that are not conducive to fishing. So instead of running up or downhill, it was running straight into the beach. And what that does, if it's running up or downhill, you have the leading edge and then you have the whole outside edge. When it's running straight into the beach, you only have the leading edge. So if you make a cast here, you cover 50 feet on each side of the boat. If a bass is 60 foot off the side of the boat, you're not going to see that. So you're just going to drift into the kelp, pull out, drive over 2 cast lengths, and try it again. So it's you have a very narrow band of fishing area, which makes for tougher fishing. So we ended up kind of deserting that and looking at hard bottom stuff, but it wasn't great with that current condition. We actually found one area that had good current and got them pretty good there. But let's talk about what's happening offshore. The tuna are gotten a little bit more cooperative, it seems like, since the full moon and going into the full moon. I know the San Diego had actually had limits of a 30 to 40 pound bluefin for their anglers on on a trip recently, and you know, the funny part is one boat will have those limits of 30 to 40 pounders, the next boat's only hooking 150 pounders and they're fishing a mile away. So it's just finding the right school, the right spot. I also know that there's been some fish now up foaming and guys getting them on lures and stuff. And that's one of the reasons I'm thinking about going this weekend, is because now there's finally a chance to have something to cast at. I don't know what the weather, I'll have to see, but it actually, you know, now is a desirable fishery to me, is unlike when you have to troll a madback or a flying fish or a spreader bar or whatever ding dong nonsense they were biting before. But yeah, you know, sport boats are still fishing them. They're still fishing them at night. There's a little screenshot from the local helmet on Instagram with a picture of a nice tangle, nighttime tangle. I can't tell you how many of these I've seen when I've been scrolling through social media. Big balls of tangled up spectra in the trash cans. I mean, I kind of wonder sometimes how many thousands of dollars worth of line those gets ruined on a daily basis when those guys are fishing at night. But I can't tell you enough. You know, if you're fishing at night, and I haven't done this bluefin jigging at night, but I've done night fishing for tuna on long range trips and stuff, you absolutely have to stay in contact with your line. And if you're around guys that are not staying in contact with their line, you need to try to go to another part of the boat where you're as far away from them as possible. When you're fighting a fish, you're going to get tangled with these guys regardless. But it's the guy next to you that drops down, just throws his reel in a free spool and just lets the jig float off into the nether and just tangles you up without any realization that he's doing it. That's the stuff you can avoid. So, you know, it's usually not that full of a boat. So if you're in a spot where somebody looks problematic, I just head to another area. But, you know, the tuna also are responding better during the day. I know a lot of the 4-packs are getting on them now. I saw Dwayne from Pinnacle posted some nice reports, and a few other guys, Fresh Bait Sport Fishing out of Oceanside, and I'm sure I'm forgetting people I saw, but you know, whatever. I'm sure you guys see them on social media. But they're doing their thing, flying fish. They're also casting on fish. They're getting them on trolling, everything else. So I'm glad to see those guys starting to get some action as well. The best news is that those bluefin are now spread from well below the Coronados. I mean, they're outside Ensenada, and they're basically all the way up to Santa Barbara Island by now. So lots of fish spread out in a lot of different directions. So if you're going out, the best thing you can do is start looking at your temp chart, your chlorophyll chart, seeing, you know, if you have fish dope, look where fish were caught. Oh, sorry about that, I had a little technical difficulty, but what I was saying is, you know, you can use the information you have, your temp chart, your chlorophyll chart, and your actual topographical chart to start making some educated decisions as to where these fish might be. If there's fish at Santa Barbara and there's fish off the east end of Clemente, those are not the only two areas that there's going to be fish. So what it's up to you is to just figure out where are the fish that people are not catching in between those two areas. And if you look at your chart and you look where water temp breaks are or color breaks are, it's really going to narrow that down for you. You could probably go to an area where there's not going to be any other boats, or one or two other boats, and have an area to yourself to work. And if you're not sure of your ability to do it, just start out your trip by trying it. You know, start somewhere close enough to where they're biting that you can run down there if you don't find anything. But don't just run to where they're biting. You're never going to learn anything. But yeah, so I guess that's really it for about. I guess that's about it for this week. I plan on hopefully heading out and catching some tuna myself this weekend, weather permitting. Then I'll probably just fish bass on the beach. But hope you have a great weekend, and good luck if you fish.